it is easier to control 1 million people. Literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. He said it's easier to kill than to control. This is the big new Brzezinski.
He put that out in his new book. That's in his new book. I read most of it. I scanned through it. It's a big book that came out about 6 months ago. And he says, the people are waking up. This may upset our plan. And he's not just saying that playing possum. The good news is we've pushed them back about 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. And if you just believe we can beat them, and if we just figure out their divide and conquer, we can come together and beat this thing. Let's talk to Sally in California. Then we're going to go to Freddie and others. Sally, you're on the air with Professor Griff. Go ahead. Yes.
I have a question with Dr. Griff. How to get African Americans more involved in New World Order?
I think what we need to do is have courage enough to speak truth to power. I think we need to tap into the great me instead of worrying about the little me things. I think we need to do things that resonate with African Americans, that resonate with black people and speak their language. Public Enemy has done that particular work. And I think this is why it was the people that voted for Public Enemy to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We did it via hip-hop because that's the vibratory frequency that we felt we could use, the medium that we could use to reach black people. Now, we can call all we want to. Whether people come or not, that is entirely up to the people. Speaking truth to power, as Alex Jones will tell you, is definitely not an easy thing, but we don't mind doing it. There's a price to be paid for this. Are you following me? James Brown said, people are talking loud, but they ain't saying nothing. And it's very critical that you speak a person's language. If you go to speak to our Latino brothers and sisters, you have to be able to speak their language to resonate with them. If you're going to speak to African Americans, I mean, we're all over the place. We have to be able to speak the language and speak truth to power.
Well, I've actually found statistically black folks are easier to wake up to the New World Order than probably any other group because they've already been shafted so much in it and they recognize what the system they've already seen. But like everybody else, they'll go, yeah, I get it's bad, but I still like Obama because it makes me feel good. They choose to go back into the matrix.
Exactly, and the reason why, Alex, simply because we've been fed this feel-good serum for a minute. Simply because that's what goes on every Sunday in the black community. It's a feel-good kind of thing. With 1 or 2 commercials and a couple of songs by a couple of corny rappers, it's a rap.
All right, Sally, thank you. Let's jam in one more, and we'll come back after the break and get more into this. Let's talk to Freddie in Texas. Well, let's do this after the break. He wants to have a question. Get your opinion on Louis Farrakhan, so we'll get that. Selena wants to talk about the Koch brothers. Michael Paul or Michelle Paul wants to talk about populations. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Professor Griff is our guest. Excellent website, pgriff.info, and he is keeping it real, as they say. That's my only goal. Be real. And I know what's real. Got a bunch of mad scientists who think they're God and are going to become God, running things. And they're jacking my food, my water. They're trying to force GMO on me and my babies. And, man, I just am freaked out. And we've got to get everybody awake to this to figure out some way forward. The problem is they know our nature. They know how to punch our buttons. We've got to get outside the box and realize we're being gamed. Professor Griff has been a soldier long before I was trying to do that. We'll be right back with Professor Griff. ProPure is introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. This is the Pro One by ProPure. You wanted it, you got it. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It cuts out the acid derivative of fluoride. It is the only one that does it. And out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. This is a revolution against the tyrants. They love putting the toxic acid base of fluoride into your water. They love the fact that it's an adjuvant supercharging the trace Prozac in the water and the hormones and the other chemicals. By cutting out fluoride, you cut out the turbocharger in all the poison being artificially introduced into your body. This is what I use. It's a win-win. You get a high-quality product at the lowest price. You support the InfoWar. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro 1 filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. You know, recently Louis Farrakhan said some nice things about me. And you know, Louis Farrakhan, growing up hearing him, he says a lot of stuff I totally agree with, exposes to the Federal Reserve, other stuff. Gets off into some other areas, you know, that I don't totally agree with. But all I care about is that he's telling people don't be on drugs and don't trust the government. And that sounds like common sense to me. But that's my view of Louis Farrakhan. I don't really follow a ton of what he's doing because I'm too busy. But let's get Professor Griff's take on, well, I mean, Freddie, you go ahead and ask the question. I just see it up there on the board, so I'm asking it for you. Freddie, go ahead. Ask your question.
Thank you, Alex, and I love you, man. I'm a black man saying to you, a lover of Farrakhan. I love you as a black man to a white man because Jesus' disciples came to him one day, and he asked him, when his mom and brothers wanted to speak to him, he said, who are my mothers and who are my brothers? And Jesus said, those who adhere to the word of God and put it into practice. And you more of a brother as a white man because you stand in the truth, standing for truth, and you willing to speak truth to power more so than members of my own family who don't do that. But I just want to.
Well, I just want justice, and I know they're shooting people up with cancer viruses, and if I don't fight that, I'm signing on to it. Do you have a question for Professor Griff?
I wanted to ask Professor Griff, what do you think of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan yourself? And again, I agree with speaking the language of our people. Could you give me a couple of specifics? Because I'm about reaching our young people with this. And
Sure. Great question, Freddie. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, Professor Griff.
Well, that's a very, very broad general statement. That's a show within inside of itself. There's so many things I could say, but I think the one thing that kind of hits home for me in reference to Minister Louis Farrakhan is the fact that I was that average kid in the hood, in the street, getting into all kind of trouble, doing all kind of things. But I heard this brother speaking truth, power, which drew me to the Nation of Islam, and I became a disciplined, studious, caring father, brother, uncle, just all around good human being. After going through the process of the FOI, which is the fruit of Islam, the military training of men that belong to Islam in North America. That's what I think.
All right, there goes your question answered right there. Let's jam in one more before this hour ends. Okay, let's go to Nick in California. Go ahead, Nick. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, I was calling about the Common Core education, where the government's trying to control the education, and you were talking about Dr. Coleman and the 21 plan.
Yes.
Did you hear me?
Man, you're on the air. Can you hear me? We're having a little bit of phone trouble.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sir, I can hear you.
Okay, I was calling about the...
Yeah, I heard you.
The Common Core plan.
Yeah, the whole Agenda 21, you notice there's 21 goals, and he was in MI6 and exposed it more than 20 years ago because he thought it was such a horrible plan. Professor Griff is our guest, one of the founders of one of the top hip-hop rap groups ever, Public Enemy. pgriff.info is the website. We're going to your phone calls right now, and I wasn't trying to chastise the last caller, but I mean, you can hear the radio in the background. It's like, we want to hear you, and it's just, I've been doing rock radio almost 18 years. It drives me crazy. Let's talk to Michael Paul in Nebraska. You're on the air with Professor Griff. Go ahead. What's your question?
I guess my question was about solutions. What do you think we could do to, try and remedy this as quickly as possible?
As quick as possible, I think it starts right here on the Alex Jones Show with dialogue. And this is what I said the last time. It did not work with this particular gentleman and this medium. You and I would probably, we don't operate in the same circle. You and I would never have this dialogue. Simply because if the plan and the agenda is working and it's being carried out, it's designed for you and I to be at odds with one another.
Oh, they admit with Google now, it makes you go to your little group.
Exactly. So we can dialogue now, and we can come up with strategies and solutions. But can I tell you something, sir?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I would never get the plan over an open line like this. We have to sit in closed meetings, study groups, to come up with a plan to counteract the madness. Simply because we don't know who's listening to the Alex Jones Show. And I want to say to the government agents that are out there, thank y'all for tuning in. Also, really appreciate y'all for that.
Well, listen, we talked about that off air. It's a great question. Do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
But God bless you. People ask me, what is your solution? And I give out a lot of individual solutions. But number one, wake up, snap your fingers, get out of the trance, look around you, don't believe us. People say, oh, I trust this person or I trust that person. Don't trust anybody. Verify, learn, see who you can really trust. It's not who's the fanciest or somebody says this guy's a bad guy and then there's no proof. That's all Cass Sunstein, cognitive infiltration. We've got to come together and realize there's no future if we don't. Professor Griff, sure, go ahead.
Oh, no, that wasn't me.
I think the caller didn't get hung up on when I said thanks for the call. They just hung up.
But I think we need to recognize the fact that it's about the human family. And as they said in the movie New Jack City, we all we got. So I think it's the us against them kind of thing. And this has nothing to do with your complexion. And we need to understand that they're coming after us all.
They are rolling out with a technocracy on record to replace us with machines, saying they're going to kill all of us. And that's the big issue. That should be the big enemy. In fact, maybe the flag should be black people, white people, brown people, red people, whatever, like with clubs beating a robot into pieces. Like all of us in a circle beating the robot and the all-seeing eye into pieces. And it's not that the robot itself's bad. That's going to be its tool because it'll follow orders.
Right.
I mean, isn't that the unifying thing right there, Professor Griff, is to realize that, as you've said?
Right, I think, but that's what they're afraid of. So the plan is to create these false flags and false fronts to keep us at odds with one another. And we have to understand that. I spoke in my book, The Acapella Revolution, about the vote scam. Did I not catch hell? Because black people feel that, okay, well, we fought, bled, and died to have the right to vote. That doesn't necessarily mean the vote is going to work for you. We need to understand something. These people control both parties. Until there's a third party, and until we just kind of overhaul the government, just kind of get rid of it and start over again, it's not going to work for any of us because they control it.
Sure. Well, I mean, people ask for solutions. Solutions are getting awake, having dialogue, communicating with people, getting out of your comfort zone. They want you in a house, watching a television, not even talking to your neighbors. You want to defeat the New World Order? Go ride a bike. You want to defeat the New World Order? Walk over to people that are different from you at a gas station and start warning them. I do that everywhere I go. My kids are like, oh, Dad, not again. I don't care. I go up and I warn everybody. We'll be right back.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water